Armin Kepra, Episode 16, The Room That Turned on Them. The darkness didn't return this time. Instead, a soft, cold light filled the room, not overhead, but from the walls themselves. A sterile glow, a clinical glow, a glow designed to strip away comfort, warmth, and humanity. Armin Kepra sat in the metal chair, posture straight, bandages damp, eyes steady. The man's voice echoed through hidden speakers. "You think you've gained ground, Kepra. You think you've taken control." Armin didn't respond. The man continued, "But you haven't seen the full room yet." A low mechanical hum vibrated through the floor. Panels in the walls shifted, revealing embedded screens, each one showing a different angle of Armin in the chair. Not live footage, recorded footage. Footage from the moment he arrived, footage from the moment he woke up, footage from the moment he pushed the table away. The man stepped into the light, finally revealing more of his face. Sharp features, cold eyes, a man trained to read micro-expressions the way others read text. "You see, Kepra, we've been studying you in real time." Armin remained still. The man tapped one of the screens. "Your breathing never spiked, your posture never shifted, your eyes never darted. You didn't show fear, anger, confusion, or anticipation." He stepped closer. "You showed nothing." Armin's voice was calm. "You're looking for a pattern." The man smirked. "And you're trying to hide it." Armin tilted his head slightly. "If I wanted to hide it, you wouldn't know there was something to find." The man's smirk faded. Armin continued, "You're not studying me, you're chasing me." The man's jaw tightened. Armin leaned forward, the first deliberate movement he'd made since the lights changed. "You're not in control of this room. You're reacting to me inside it." The man stepped back, unsettled. Armin pressed on. "You're adjusting the lights because I didn't react to the dark. You're adjusting the sound because I didn't react to the silence. You're adjusting the visuals because I didn't react to the objects." He paused. "You're improvising." The man's breathing grew heavier. Armin's voice dropped to a whisper. "And that means you're losing." The man slammed his hand against the wall, shutting off the screens. "You think you're untouchable, Kepra. You think you can walk into any collapse and come out clean?" Armin didn't blink. The man stepped closer, face inches from Armin's. "You're not a hero, you're a variable." Armin's voice was steady. "And you're a man who's running out of tactics." The man froze. Armin leaned back in the chair. "You want to know my breaking point?" Silence. Armin's eyes locked on him. "It's not in this room." The man stepped away, shaken. He pressed a button on the wall. The door behind Armin unlocked with a heavy metallic click. The man's voice trembled, just slightly. "Let's see how you handle phase 2. Armin didn't move. He didn't need to, because for the first time since the interrogation began, the man was the one who looked trapped. The door behind Armin unlocked with a heavy metallic clunk, but no one entered. No footsteps, no commands, just the low hum of the vents and the faint static of the surveillance system. Armin didn't move. A door opening in a black site interrogation facility wasn't an invitation. It was a tactic. A thin strip of pale light spilled across the floor, revealing a narrow corridor beyond. Reinforced walls, tactical lighting, no windows, no identifiers. A place designed for disorientation. The handler's voice finally drifted through the speakers, calm, controlled, but thinner than before. "Kepra, step through the door." Armin remained seated. The voice sharpened. That wasn't optional. Armin lifted his head slightly. "You're rushing." Silence. Then the handler spoke again, quieter. "You think staying in that chair gives you leverage?" Armin didn't blink. "It doesn't," the handler said. "It just delays the inevitable." Armin stood, slow, deliberate, unshaken. He stepped toward the open doorway, reading the corridor the way other men read maps, angles, distances, blind spots, camera placements, ventilation patterns. Every detail mattered. He crossed the threshold. The door slammed shut behind him. The corridor lights flickered on one by one, guiding him forward like a forced march. Armin walked, posture steady, eyes scanning every inch. Halfway down the hall, he stopped. A reinforced door on his left bore a classification seal, a military crest from his own world's intelligence directorate. Familiar, ordinary, exactly what he expected. Under the crest, a line of text: "Behavioral Analysis, Phase 2, Subject Kepra, Armin." Armin exhaled once, slow and controlled. "They're not testing my limits," he murmured. He placed his hand on the door. "They're testing my decisions." The lock disengaged with a heavy clunk. Armin stepped inside, and the next phase of the psychological war began. The door sealed behind Armin with a metallic thud, locking him inside a room smaller than the last. No chair, no table, no screens, just 4 reinforced walls and a single overhead light that buzzed faintly, like an insect trapped in glass. A voice crackled through a hidden speaker, not the handler, someone new. Subject Kepra, Phase 2 begins now. Armin stood still, posture straight, eyes scanning the room. No vents, no cameras visible, but he knew better. The surveillance was there, it always was. The voice continued. You've resisted deprivation, you've resisted stimuli, you've resisted psychological pressure. Armin didn't respond, so now we test something else. The light above him dimmed, then brightened, then dimmed again. A slow pulse, rhythmic, deliberate. A tactic meant to disrupt focus, distort time, and induce agitation. Armin closed his eyes for a moment, not in fear, not in surrender, just a controlled breath, the kind he'd taken 1,000 times before missions. The voice spoke again. You're not reacting. Armin opened his eyes. You're repeating tactics. Silence. Then the handler's voice returned, the original one, tighter now, strained. You think you understand this facility? Armin didn't blink. You don't. The walls shifted. A low mechanical groan echoed through the room as the panels slid inward by a few inches. Not enough to trap him, just enough to make the space feel smaller. A claustrophobia tactic. Armin remained perfectly still. The handler exhaled sharply. You're supposed to show stress. Armin's voice was calm. You're supposed to be subtle. The walls shifted again, another inch inward. The handler snapped. You're not invincible, Kepra. Armin stepped forward, placing his hand on the nearest wall. He pressed lightly, testing the mechanism, the resistance, the vibration. Then he spoke, voice low and precise. You're not trying to break me. Silence. You're trying to break your own uncertainty. The handler froze. Armin continued. You don't know how to read me. That's the problem. That's why you keep changing tactics. That's why you keep adjusting the room. He stepped back to the center. You're not measuring my reactions. You're reacting to mine. The walls stopped moving. The light steadied. The room fell silent. Then the handler spoke, quieter than ever. You're not supposed to see that. Armin lifted his head. I see everything you show me. The speaker crackled. A second voice whispered something off mic. The handler snapped back. No, continue the test. Armin heard the tremor in his voice. He wasn't the one trapped. They were. The light flickered once more, not as a tactic, but as a malfunction. Armin smiled slightly. Your room is breaking, he said. The handler didn't respond. Armin stepped forward, eyes locked on the wall. And you're next. Armin Kepra, Episode 19, The Moment the Room Lost Him. Prose, page 19. The walls stopped moving. The light steadied. The room fell into a silence so complete it felt engineered. Armin stood in the center, posture straight, breathing slow, eyes fixed on the far wall. He wasn't waiting, he was listening. A faint vibration trembled through the floor, not part of the test, a real vibration, a structural one. Something in the facility had changed. A voice crackled through the speaker, the handler, but not the same handler who'd been confident hours ago. This voice was tight, strained, cracking at the edges. Kepra, remain where you are. Armin didn't move. The handler continued, trying to regain control. You've reached the limit of Phase 2. We're transitioning to Phase 3. Armin spoke quietly. You're improvising again. Silence. Then a second voice whispered off mic, urgent, panicked. He's destabilizing the readings. None of the metrics match. He's not responding to anything. The handler snapped. Mute that. Armin's eyes narrowed slightly. They weren't running a program anymore. They were scrambling. The overhead light flickered, not as a tactic but as a symptom. The facility was under strain. Armin stepped toward the wall, placing 2 fingers against the metal. He felt the vibration again, stronger this time. A generator, a power shift, a system overload. Something was failing. The handler's voice returned, louder now, trying to mask the panic. Kepra stepped back to the center of the room. Armin didn't. Instead, he spoke with the calm of a man who had already solved the puzzle. You built this facility to break people. Silence. But you never built it to handle someone who doesn't react. The handler inhaled sharply. Armin continued. You're not measuring my mind. You're overloading your own system. A metallic groan echoed through the walls. Deep, structural, undeniable. The handler shouted off mic. Stabilize the chamber, now. Armin stepped back to the center, not because they ordered him, but because he wanted to. The speaker crackled violently. Kepra, Armin cut him off. You've lost the room. The lights surged, bright, blinding, then snapped off entirely. Darkness swallowed everything. A klaxon alarm blared somewhere deep in the facility. Not a test alarm, a real one. Armin stood perfectly still. He didn't need to see. He already knew. They weren't in control anymore. A mechanical lock disengaged behind him, fast, sloppy, unplanned. Someone was opening the door, not the handler, not the interrogators, someone else. A silhouette appeared in the doorway, tense, breathing hard, whispering urgently, "Armin, move, now." Armin didn't hesitate. He stepped toward the exit. The psychological war was over. The escape had begun. The silhouette in the doorway didn't wait. "Armin, move." Armin stepped into the corridor without hesitation, the door slamming shut behind him. The alarms blared louder now, echoing through the reinforced hallways. Red emergency lights pulsed overhead, bathing everything in a harsh, rhythmic glow. The figure ahead of him, lean, tactical gear, face half covered, kept moving fast. "They lost control of the chamber," the stranger said. "Power grids collapsing. We have minutes." Armin followed, eyes scanning every angle, every shadow, every vent. "Who are you?" "Someone who doesn't want this place." "Fair enough." They rounded a corner. 2 guards sprinted toward them. The stranger froze. Armin didn't. He moved with precision. 1 step forward, 1 strike, 1 elbow. 2 bodies hit the floor before the alarms finished their next pulse. The stranger stared. "You're not supposed to be able to fight after what they put you through." Armin kept walking. "They didn't put me through anything." They reached a blast door, thick, reinforced, sealed by a biometric lock. The stranger cursed under their breath. "They'll be here any second." Armin stepped forward, examining the panel. A simple system, overconfident engineers, predictable. He ripped the casing off with 1 sharp pull, exposing the wiring. The stranger blinked. "You can't bypass that." Armin already had. The blast door groaned, then slid open with a heavy metallic shudder. The stranger stared at him like he was seeing a ghost. Armin stepped through. "Keep up." They entered the main operations corridor, rows of terminals abandoned in panic. Operators fled in every direction, shouting over each other. "System overload. Shut down the grid. Where's the handler? Evacuate, evacuate." Armin walked straight through the chaos, untouched, unchallenged. Not because they didn't see him, because they were afraid of him. The stranger whispered, "They're terrified." Armin didn't slow. They should be. A squad of armed guards blocked the exit ahead, rifles raised, formation tight. The handler stood behind them, pale, sweating, trying to regain authority he no longer had. "Kepra, stop. You don't understand what you're doing." Armin stepped forward, calm, steady, unstoppable. "I understand exactly what I'm doing." The handler pointed at him, voice cracking. "Open fire!" No one moved. The guards looked at each other, hesitating, uncertain, shaken by the alarms, the chaos, the man who refused to break. Armin kept walking. The handler screamed, "I said open fire!" Still nothing. Armin stopped inches from the handler, close enough for him to see the steadiness in Armin's eyes. "You built a room to break me," Armin said quietly, "but you broke your own operation instead." The handler stumbled back, terrified. Armin turned to the guards. "Stand down." They obeyed. He walked past them, pushing open the final exit door. Fresh air hit his face, cold, sharp, real. The night sky stretched above him, unfiltered by steel or surveillance. The stranger stepped out beside him, breathing hard. "You actually made it." Armin looked back at the facility, alarms blaring, lights flickering, personnel scattering like insects. "I was never staying," the stranger asked. "What now?" Armin tightened the bandages on his arm, posture straight, eyes forward. "Now," he said, "I finish what they started." He walked into the night, free, unbroken, unstoppable. Armin Kepra won. The night air carried the scent of cold metal and distant rain as Armin Kepra walked away from the facility, its alarms finally fading into silence behind him. The industrial district stretched out ahead, steel walkways, dim street lamps, the quiet hum of machinery that never truly slept. This was his world, his home, the planet Kaizedian, a place that looked ordinary to anyone who lived on it, harbors, cities, factories, military districts, but it carried its own history, its own faith, its own way of surviving. Armin stopped beneath an overpass, the concrete still warm from the day's heat. He adjusted the bandages on his arm, exhaling slowly. The stranger who'd helped him escape lingered a few steps behind, unsure whether to speak. "You're hurt," they said quietly. Armin shook his head. "I've been worse." The stranger hesitated. "What now?" Armin didn't answer immediately. He looked up at the night sky, dark, clouded, but familiar. The same sky he'd grown up under, the same sky everyone on Kaisera prayed beneath. He lowered his head, closed his eyes for a brief moment, and whispered a soft, private line, barely audible, meant for no one but himself. "Shinkaku Parker family, guide my next step." A simple prayer, a quiet one. The kind an Arminist said rarely, only when the moment called for it. He opened his eyes again. The stranger watched him carefully. "You're not going back, are you?" Armin stepped forward, posture steady, gaze fixed on the distant lights of the city. "No," he said. "They tried to break the wrong man." He walked into the night, unbroken, unafraid, and fully in control of what came next. Behind him, the facility lights flickered one last time. Ahead of him, Kaisera stretched wide and waiting. Armin Kepra didn't escape, he advanced.
And that is the end of the story that Armin Kepra told to the black bullet and the white knife inside of that heavenly Irish style pub. Black bullet and white knife jaw literally hit the table. They both were blown away by the story that Armin Kepra told them both. They had no idea that Armin Kepra been through a living nightmare like that and did not suffer 1 inch of pain psychologically. This is the proof that Armin Kepra ain't no joke.